What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another Where Is. As always, I hope everyone is having an amazing day today. So, today I have two cases for you guys that I wanted to talk about where both women mysteriously disappeared when they were both 22 years old. Now, both cases are unsolved, so without further ado, let's go ahead and discuss the first case. So, the first case we will be discussing is the disappearance of Phyllis Rome. Phyllis Rome was born on March 16th in 1971, and she mysteriously disappeared from Clarksdale, Mississippi when she was 22 years old. Now, there isn't much background on Phyllis except that she was deaf and mute. So it was June 19th in 1993, and Phyllis decides to have a night out on the town, so she heads to a blues club called Red's, located at 398 Sunflower Avenue. Now, Red's is a juke joint in Clarksdale, Mississippi. It's a small, intimate place where people go to have a good time and share their love for blues music. So, according to reports, Phyllis attended the nightclub and she was reportedly seen at the club around 8 p.m. And unfortunately, this would be the last time that anyone would see Phyllis. Now, her cousin has said that they reportedly saw her on Dr. Martin Luther King Boulevard near Tony's liquor store after she was last seen at the nightclub. However, I do not believe there's anything reported as far as the time frame of when she saw Phyllis that night. Now, her cousin could have quite possibly seen her walking that night because her home was located at 409 McKinley Street, so she would have taken that road to get back to her home after leaving Red's nightclub. Now, it's been 28 years since Phyllis disappeared, and still to this day, there's no leads or any new information as to what could have possibly happened to her. Now, there has been rumors going around the town of Clarksdale that Phyllis was murdered and that her body was disposed somewhere in downtown Clarksdale. Now, police did search the downtown area for her body, but they were unable to find anything and her case remains unsolved. So, what could have happened to Phyllis? With what little information her case has and not really knowing much of her background, anything could have happened to Phyllis. Could she have met someone at the club and they ended up taking her? We know that her cousin says that they saw her sometime after 8 walking on Dr. Martin Luther King Boulevard, but could it have possibly been someone else that they mistook for Phyllis? Maybe her cousin did see her that night and maybe something happened to Phyllis after her cousin saw her. I really want to know what you guys think could have possibly happened. Again, she disappeared when she was 22 years old. She is African American with black hair and brown eyes. At the time, she stood at 5 even and weighed 100 pounds. At the time of her disappearance, she was wearing light blue shorts with polka dots, a white shirt, blue socks, and white sneakers. Again, she is deaf and mute. She also has a tattoo of the name mark on her upper left arm and a tattoo of the initial D on her middle finger. She has pierced ears as well as a nose piercing. If alive, Phyllis would be 50 years old. If you have any information, you can contact the Clarksdale Police Department at 662-621-8151. So our second case we will be discussing today is the unsolved disappearance of Daphne Jones. Daphne Felicia Jones was born on July 16th in 1976 and she went missing from New Orleans, Louisiana, back in 1999 when she was just 22 years old. At the time, she was a student at the University of New Orleans and was also working as a hostess at a restaurant called Brennan's. She had been staying in one of the dorms on campus, but she had recently moved from the dorms to an off campus apartment because she had actually discovered that she was pregnant. So, again, the year is 1999, and since discovering she was pregnant, she decided that she wanted to move back home to Maryland with her mother, Marla. So she decided to make plans to quit her job at the restaurant, leave school, and move in with her mother in Maryland. But unfortunately, Daphne would disappear before she could follow through with her plans. Now, she did have a boyfriend at the time, and according to reports, she informed him that she was planning on moving out when she was 2 months pregnant. Her family has stated that Daphne informed them that she was being pressured to end her pregnancy. However, according to her aunt Helena, she says that she refused to have an abortion. She says that when Daphne informed her mother Marla that she was being pressured, her mother told her to come home so that she could take care of her. Now, Daphne was adamant about moving to Maryland, so much so that she already purchased her plane ticket to Maryland that was scheduled for January 9th in 1999. So on January 3rd in 1999, it was a Sunday, and her grandmother Ethel dropped her off at her apartment around 1:50 p.m. Now, Daphne did have to go to work later on that afternoon, but unfortunately, she never showed up for her shift and she hasn't been seen or heard from since. Now, her aunt Helena says that her mother Ethel, Daphne's grandmother, had an eerie feeling when Daphne had gotten out of the car. She says that something was telling her not to leave, but she did end up leaving, so her grandmother was the last of her family to see Daphne alive. Now, her cousin says that she actually received a call from Daphne during the time that she was supposed to be at work, and she says that Daphne was upset. Now, it's not reported as to what she was upset about, but maybe she had an argument with her boyfriend. I mean, we know he was pressuring her to get an abortion, but again, it's unclear as to what exactly she was upset about. Now, her family was given access to her apartment by the landlord, and what they found was a pretty disturbing scene. Her aunt Helena says that when she entered her apartment, she says that Daphne had warmed up some food, the TV was still on, the iron was still on, and the apartment overall looked like she had left in a hurry. Now, her family does believe that foul play was involved and that Daphne may no longer be with us. Now, her mother Marla has worked extremely hard to find out what exactly happened to her daughter. She has even appeared on an episode of Dr. Phil, and while on the show, she discussed how her and her siblings would go out and put up flyers of Daphne and how she struggled getting TV stations as well as the newspaper to put her daughter's name out there. She says that only one person had actually reached back out to her, and that was an African American anchor woman. She also talks about how her daughter had no national coverage versus the cases of Sandra Levy and Lacey Peterson, two women who also went missing. And as she compared the variables between her daughter's case and the other two ladies, The only difference was the difference in their skin color. Now, her mother continued to fight for her, but sadly, she did end up passing away from pancreatic cancer in 2018. Her grandmother also sadly passed in 2012, and her father, who kept a bank account open in Daphne's name in case she was found, passed away as well. Now, throughout the years, her entire family fought for her and fought to get answers as to what exactly could have happened to her. Her sister Danielle says that all we know is that she vanished and there is nothing to hold on to now. We just want a final answer so we can put it to rest. So, what could have happened to Daphne? With what little information we have on this case as well, the only person that could possibly be responsible for her disappearance would have been her boyfriend. I mean, we know that he didn't want her to have the baby, but maybe he was also pressuring her to stay in New Orleans because we know that she basically was planning on leaving him to move to Maryland. I definitely don't see her just up and leaving, considering how she left her apartment. I mean, her iron was still on, she had food heated, as well as the TV still on, and if she was planning on running away, there would have been no need for her to already purchase her plane ticket to Maryland. So something clearly happened right before her shift that day after her grandmother dropped her off, but I just hope and pray her and her child are both alive and well out there somewhere. But I would also love to hear your thoughts on this case. Again, Daphne was 22 years old when she disappeared. She is African American with short brown hair and brown eyes. At the time, she stood at 5'5" and weighed 130 pounds. At the time of her disappearance, she was wearing a yellow pullover jacket, blue jeans, sneakers, and a silver ring. She has a tattoo of a Chinese symbol on her right shoulder and she has pierced ears. Again, she was 2 months pregnant at the time of her disappearance, and if alive, she would be 45 years old. If you have any information, you can contact the New Orleans 7th District Police Department at 504-244-4600. Well, that is it for me today, you guys. I hope everyone has an amazing day, and I will see you in the next one.